And if I'm going to invest that time, it needs to be in properties that are worth it to me.
Yeah.
And if I can't have like a deep philosophical discussion, if it doesn't bring something to my life, that media is really not worth consuming to me anymore.
Well, the way that comedian Mark Maron put it is whenever somebody presents him with like a new album or something, he says, I'm not going to listen to it because I might die. Because what if it sucks and then you wasted that hour of your life?
But that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Perfect.
I am Paul Stad, and this is Sydnee Johnson, and that is Jeremy Brazel. And now we get to our favorite hated portion of the show. The discomfort zone. This is the part where we push ourselves into something that we wouldn't necessarily take in on our own or we don't like, but we have to take it in and find out what it is that people who do like that like about it. And this hurt. So
I'm so excited.
We challenged ourselves before we did this episode. We challenged ourselves.
We challenged each other.
We challenged each other to disparate properties. I got challenged to American Horror Story because I don't like most horror. There's some horror. I really like The Conjuring. We watched that together, Jeremy. I love The Exorcist. I did enjoy The Walking Dead for a while. There's some horror I really like. And I think for me, I have to have somebody to root for. And I watched the first episode of the first season of American Horror Story, and I hated everybody. And I hated everything about it. I hated how uncomfortable it made me feel.
There's not one character that you didn't like vehemently hate in season 1.
I hated all of them. I hated every single last.
I don't feel like I felt
That's
that
me
strong.
in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and Breaking Bad's another one. I actually watched a lot of Breaking Bad, and I actually could appreciate some of it. But American Horror Story, I was like, this is incredibly well photographed, and everything that is being photographed is terrible. Because I was so appreciative of the cinematography. It's something that's so unique to horror. How you shoot things and how you film them, the point of view cameras that you use, those point of views shots that you have that don't work in any other genre.
Sound design,
the sound design, everything, the music. How you can create a mood is done so well in horror, and I hated every minute of that freaking show.
Can I interject?
Please.
So, okay, the thing is, I was not in the same essence, but basically challenged to watch the show because I'm not particularly a horror fan. I'm a little bit more of a horror fan than you, just less than Jeremy. I fall in that part of the spectrum. And I was asked to watch it. And someone basically was like, just watch the beginning of season 1 with me. If you don't like it, we'll turn it off, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it and I had the opposite reaction of you. I fell in love.
Interesting.
Like,
so what is it? So what is it about it that you really like? Because I mean, I you guys did say watch season 3, and I started watching season 3, and I really started to get, okay, this is really, really compelling. But what is it about season 1 that really gripped you?
So season 1 for me, like, it's two things. Number one, like, it is a great mystery story. Like, you're constantly trying to figure out what is going on, and they're not like very predictable. I don't feel like mysteries are not the things like, oh, I saw that coming. Like, yes, towards the later seasons you start to do that, but like in season 1, I didn't feel like that at all. Also, I have a thing for haunted house stories. Like, even growing up, I hated horror, but I'd find myself watching like The Haunting for no reason. So nothing else was on. Okay. And now I'm a real estate agent, so it's weird.
Oh, like, good. Oh, yeah.
Really,
she won't show you any haunted houses. I promise you.
It's really weird now.
Will you show me some haunted houses?
If I can find some in the area, yes. We'll go do videos on them.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But like, there's something about that haunted house, like that classical haunted house story.
Okay.
And the weird, like, twisting take on it where nothing really is quite what it seems. You didn't even get far enough to, like,
well, I will say this, because I started watching the episode 2, and I was like, nope, not happening.
Then we put him up to season 3.
So and I wanted to watch season 3, but I did go and I read the synopses of every episode of season 1, and I'm like, holy crap, people watch this for fun? This is the worst thing I've ever read. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine watching this happen. Because for me, like, a lot of horror is, hey, you want to see a genre where the bad guy wins and you want to watch how? Like, that's how it feels with a lot of horror. Where they're like, does it hurt? Or how about now?
Do you agree with that assessment?
A lot of horror ends with the bad guy winning.
Thank you. And you're like,
it's absolutely true. And the big thing is you're supposed to get the twist along with that, why our protagonist fails and why you're okay with them failing.
Yes.
Well, and I do find it interesting as an exploration of the human mind and an exploration of why bad people do bad things. And I get that there's a value to that. I just don't want to see it.
And that's kind of like, to me, that's the essence of, especially the early seasons of American Horror Story. Or it's like it's the darkness of humanity.
Yeah.
And the thing about the twist is, like, in American Horror Story, certainly in season 1, I felt like you had that twist in every episode, like not just in the season. You almost had, like, sometimes you had multiple kind of semi-twists in every episode, where you're like, oh, wait, now I have to change my perspective on the show.
Right.
You find out something about a character and that completely changes your idea of them.
Yeah, yeah. And I get that. It's a fascinating thing that happens. I guess my problem is also I want people to like and root for. And the thing with season 3 was I immediately had someone that I liked. The main protagonist in season 3 that was played by Farmiga. She was in the series 1. I can't remember her. Tessa Farmiga, I think, is her name. But the character she plays is actually someone who's like trying to be likable. Like she's actually like trying to do good and right things with her power. And I was like, okay, I actually have someone that I can like and root for, and she's actually trying to be a good person. Because if I don't have somebody to latch on and root for, there's no hero in a story, I have a really hard time with it. And with episode 1 of season 1, like there's nobody likable. There's nobody here that I like at all. Like they're all like, I hate you and you and you. And the thing is, I don't want you to die, but I know you're going to. So
I'll be honest. That was a sticking point for me in season 1 as well. I hated everyone.
Really?
I ended up enjoying season 1, but looking back at it, one of the main reasons I liked it back in the day was pretty much the only high budget TV show horror thing that ever existed.
That's true. It broke a lot of ground. And I will say, whoever's in charge of the cinematography is amazing. Because that's such.
Did that start? Do you know?
I think it was 2010, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or 2011? Because, I mean, it predates Hannibal, because I was thinking about this before the show.
Things I was late to the game on.
But when I was thinking about this before the show, I was like, that was such a groundbreaking. When that came out, like, that was the first real...
It was the dark
horror, and one that's still running. Because horror on network TV generally goes away, because you have Hannibal that lasted a couple seasons, you have Bates Motel that lasted, like, I think maybe 5 seasons.
2011.
2011. Okay, I was right.
Pretty close.
So, but American Horror Story has managed to last almost 10 years. And I think part of it is that they're doing it right because they are doing, every season is a different thing.
It's an anthology.
It's what you have to do with horror. Because with horror, the tension, once you get to a point with tension, like if you're in that house with Jason and he's chasing you for like a week, at some point you're gonna be like, okay, just kill me already. Like
I'm overrunning. I'm
tired of this.
Out. Yeah, the sleep deprivation is here.
You have to have a new horror, a new terror, new mystery.
Threat.
You have to have an actual threat.
Yeah. No, if you don't have a threat, you're not going to be scared. You know, it's a primal thing.
And the thing is that I know that goes over into like thriller and action a lot, but this is a good point to mention, a really good analogy for this, a really good one, where not just with American Horror Story, where they have a different thing each season, whereas Walking Dead is just beating that proverbial dead horse, and a lot of these horror TV shows would go away because they just had nowhere to go. When you look at the difference between the original movie Predator and then the remake that Shane Black did a few years ago, so in the original Predator, they had several things that were really important. They had, if it bleeds, we know we can kill it. And you think, well, why would making an enemy weaker be an interesting thing? Why would that heighten the horror? Well, because it gives the characters hope. It gives them something to fight for. And you have then somebody to either root for or feel sorrow when they fail. But in the new Predator, well, the Predator was just this super killing machine beast, and there was just no hope of anybody beating it, so there was no drama to it. So you have to have that mystery, that drama, that what is it you're facing with the enemy? What can we find out about it? And if you don't have that, if there's none of that there, then it's just kind of lame, and it dies on the vine. And I think that's where a lot of horror TV fails, is because it just goes so long. that you get past that point of the mystery and the intrigue to where you answer all the questions, and then you're like, oh, well, that's what it is. Which is why Freddy from Friday the 13th became such a joke by the late 80s, because all that horror and mystery of him was gone. Mm-hmm. You know, then he's doing the Freddy rap and that kind of thing.
It didn't help that the movies were terrible.
The movies were terrible. I went back and watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street a little while ago, and it was so campy dumb. You know,
was it campy in its time though, or did it just not age well?
It was genuinely.
It's genuinely campy.
Wes Craven is campy.
Yeah,
he is. I will say though, Wes Craven's New Nightmare that came out in 1994, which did get a lot of the old cast back, that actually did have some genuine scares in it. It was some genuine terror.
His stuff is genuinely scary, but there's also camp to it.
Yeah,
hence why he made Scream. You know.
Yeah. Well, see, I do like some horror. Okay.
That's. I mean.
Yeah. Okay. So. That was my example. That was my discomfort zone of what I had to put up with this past week, was the horror that just made me want to kill myself.
You had to watch a show that most people
love. I know. Like, and hey, season 3 is, and Kathy Bates. I will watch Kathy Bates act in anything.
She's so terrible in that season, but you still like.
Oh, her character is horrible.
God.
Her character is awful, but she's so amazing at it. Yeah, and Jessica Lange's fantastic. So the whole cast.
Jessica Lange is fantastic.
So I'm actually going to continue watching season 3 because I want to find out more of what happens. All right. So what was your example?
So these guys, I think, was it you or was it Jeremy? I can't even remember.
I think it was Jeremy.
Yeah. Jeremy challenged me to play Bioshock.
An amazing game that a lot of people love. That I love.
That I had actually attempted to play before. So the tragedy of me and Bioshock is that you bought Bioshock for me to try and get me to play it 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I attempted to play it. At the time, my ultimate assessment was, this is a lot of stress for something I'm supposed to be doing for fun.
It is. It's stressful. It is.
And I don't trade in games very often, but I traded it in.
I don't blame you.
So then the other night, Jeremy's like, you should play Bioshock. Because I hate first-person games in general. I hate first-person shooters.
Oh, man.
Because I am not used to the mechanics and the, like, having to work my camera and, like, not get enemies right on top of me. It just it bothers me.
No peripheral vision does kind of hurt a little bit.
It bothers me. I'm used to seeing my character's entire 360 everything. So, first off, it's first person. And secondly, it's sort of a shooter. And thirdly, it's basically a horror game.
Yeah, it is.
It is a horror game.
And everything about this game, I was actually excited to play it again because like, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it's amazing. And I was just being a pansy. Like,
okay.
So I went and downloaded the game. I tried to play it a second time. So here's the strange thing. It was on PlayStation Plus, so I just signed up for PlayStation Plus. You finally broke me, and I became a PlayStation Plus member.
All right.
And the problem is that it downloaded the complete version, so it's all 3 games.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I got all 3 of them. So the problem was that Bioshock Infinite downloaded first. I don't know why.
That's weird. All right.
Because, I don't know. So, for some reason,
I do what I want.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that, like, maybe they'd combine them into one game, so I just went ahead and started the game.
Okay.
Then, like, it didn't take me that long to realize I was in the wrong game. I played it before.
Right,
I'm like, this doesn't look the same.
I'm in the sky now.
So then I see, like, Bioshock downloaded just now. So then I see, like, Bioshock's downloaded just now. I'm like, okay, great, I'm playing Infinite. But I'm like, okay, let me play a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And I played, like, maybe 30, 40 minutes of it. I was like, I guess I should go back and play Bioshock 1. But I'm like, this isn't as bad as I remember. Maybe I was wrong. And then of course, I've been playing it all afternoon. I load up Bioshock and I start playing it. Within 12 minutes, I was like, it's worse. I was wrong. It's worse than I remember.
So is it when you came across the little sisters, the big daddy, or is the claustrophobic when you're walking through these tunnels in the water?
12 minutes in. And it's like 11:30 at night. 12 minutes in, you get through the bathysphere, you know, like you come down the lighthouse, you come in, and the
get the encounters
slicer is trying to like claw its way into the sub.
Oh yes.
And it leaves. And the thing is, I played the game before, so I know it doesn't attack you as soon as you walk out. And the guy's like on the radio, like, hey, come on, like, we'll get you to higher ground. And I'm like, but I don't want to go out there. Turn the game off.
Yeah.
I did resume it later. I played like another, like, I'm going to be gracious and say hour of it. And then I just was like, maybe I'll just remember what I played before.
Did you even fight any Big Daddies?
No, there's no way she got to the Big Daddies. There's no way. Because
and the problem that I have
way
with
further
it
in.
is I should love the game. I should love it.
Right.
It's amazing.
It is.
Understand what people like about it. I completely get it. I'm interested in the mystery of like what's going on. Like I want all the recordings, but I don't want to go into the room with the recordings.
Twists at the end.
I gotta get there though.
Well, this highlights, I think, about games what is so great, because all the moral choices, all the things that you do, you're a part of it. Unlike with a movie where you're a casual observer, one of the reasons why games are the next thing that people really need to see as art. We've accepted that movies can be art. We've accepted that comics can be art. But I don't think that the general consensus yet is that games can be art. But games do something that no other medium can do, which is force you into moral decisions.
So involved.
You're so involved.
It's interesting, like the art aspect to it, because like one of the people that's considered the most artistic, Hideo Kojima.
Yeah,
he does not consider it an art form.
And
it's so weird. Yeah, he totally
look at Death Stranding. Like, Marcel Duchamp would think it's a little weird, okay?
I
So I think that when we look back in 50 years and we think about games that are art, and Bioshock's going to be in the top 5.
It should be. That's the thing. Like, I understand that it should be. I want to love this game. I genuinely do. You get into this game and the environment is amazing. Like, one of the things I actually enjoyed Infinite, it's beautiful. Like,
oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
And like, I have a weird thing about being underwater. I don't know if that's my issue with Bioshock. Like,
it is claustrophobic.
But like, it's a beautiful environment. Like, the idea is fantastic. It's like a freaky underwater steampunk, like dystopia. And I love it. I want to love it. But the thing that like gets
Atlas Shrugged.
The sounds.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't played it in a while, like turn on your surround sound and like it's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
The noise is visceral.
I'll tell you what, actually, Bioshock is great.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Seriously, man.
Don't do that.
I'll tell you what's great.
I was playing it before I came here. Like, I was trying to get in a few minutes.
Just hearing some of the splicers crawl along and you hear the blades dragging on the ground. Like,
I'll tell you, it's a great game to watch being played.
I want to watch Let's Play. I may try and wander my way through more of it. I feel like I'm going to end up watching a Let's Play.
It's a game where I feel that, because I generally don't like the marriage of cinema and games, because I feel like that you're violating what's great about those independent mediums. But there are some games that really do marry the two very well. I think the first Half-Life does a really good job of it, where it tells a really good, compelling story. And I think that Bioshock may be the best example of that, where it actually works incredibly well. And I would actually rather at times watch someone play Bioshock well than play it myself.
It's less...
It's
heart attack inducing.
It is less heart attack inducing. Like, you're less invested in that way. And I think
you can just sort of sit there like, is it over yet? Like,
I'll tell you a game I really have to do that with is Alien Isolation. Oh my gosh. I can't. I started playing Alien Isolation and I got like to where the first moment where the aliens start appearing, I'm like, nope, I'm out forever. That's it.
That's how I felt about Bioshock.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like, I think actually the first time I played it, I got to the point where like the first Big Daddy can get a hold of you, like in a fight, not in like a cutscene. And that was it for me. Like, I was done.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a thing I cannot fight and I don't like it.
Don't let it.
What's great is Bioshock is about a 12-hour game. Alien Isolation, that's a 20-hour game.
Yeah. It's 20 hours of that
Remember back when you could
tension.
tell a great story in a 12-hour game? Like,
well, in Bioshock, that's why I think Bioshock is great art, because it doesn't stretch things out artificially. You don't have all these side missions that you can go on. It's a cohesive single story that takes you from beginning to end.
I will say, playing like the beginning of Infinite, I wish the world was a little more interactive. Because I come from like an RPG-esque world. Like, those are typically the worlds I play in.
Yeah.
I like interactable environments. And the environment is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I feel annoyed that I can't like go talk to the shopkeepers and stuff.
Well, and the thing is, in Bioshock Infinite, they do funnel you because they are trying to get you from this specific point to the next point. And so you do have a specific path you can follow, and there are a lot of locked doors. But I mean, I get it when they're doing it for story reasons. It's just hard when the games become more realistic. You're like, well, why can't I just walk in the store or bust it down or something?
Right. Or buy a hat.
Or buy a hat.
Well, there's reasons in Infinite why that isn't happening, because he's a stranger on this island. It's like, hey,
I know, but when I'm a stranger in worlds, I like want to go like poke things.
Yeah.
Touch things and like, can I try and sit at a cafe? Like
most of those guys on that one is like they're looking at you suspiciously, and like, if you act wrong, they'll start shooting at you.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
And I actually do feel like for a first-person shooter-esque game, like the environment in Bioshock 1 is fairly actually interactable, but still less than I would like.
Yeah.
It's much more open as well compared to Infinite.
It is.
It is. And it is.
As someone who's played all of 30 minutes of
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, but it's tough. It just is. So, Jeremy, what was the thing that you got challenged to this week?
The thing I got challenged, hey, Paul, you challenged me. I had to listen to some of my favorite style of music. It's called death metal. I don't like death metal. And the band is Death. The album is The Sound of Perseverance.
What's funny about this is I don't like this subgenre death metal either, but I love this band. I love Death. And when I first played you the first track off of The Sound of Perseverance, I was shocked that you didn't like it. Because I thought, it's starting with this incredibly cool, weird drum thing. He's going to love it. And then you're like, my brain!
My brain!
Full
my
disclosure,
brain!
he's a drummer.
So I
am a drummer.
You are a drummer. I knew I had to challenge you to listen to the whole thing.
So, yeah. I listened to the whole thing, and to really immerse myself in it, I've listened to it all the way through 4 times now.
He beat both of us, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, neither of us finished our challenge.
I couldn't do the first season of
the reason why mine was so simple is I can listen to music while I drive.
An album.
You know? That's why I was able to do it.
Video games take a little more time.
Yeah.
They take a little more time, and you'll get pulled over by a cop if you're playing it. Well,
yeah, I tried doing Tetris while I was driving and didn't care for that.
So, like, the biggest
Admit to
thing
nothing.
is, like, I'm going to talk about some of the negatives first. I'm going to throw that out there.
All right.
Some of the negatives, particularly the beginning part of the album, the first 3 songs in particular, like they feel like little micro bursts of individual songs, and they're essentially like the girl talk of metal. It's a distraction. Every few moments, it's something completely different, and the transition to transition just doesn't work. And it's like there are bands that have odd time signatures that you don't even notice they're changing these time signatures. Soundgarden. I have a couple of examples I have right here. Rush, Pink Floyd, Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer goes from 4/4 to 7/8 into the guitar solo. Few people will even notice it. And guess what? During that 7/8 section, they have individual measures of 6/8 that they throw in there, and people don't notice it because the way they form their transitions, it is very pleasing to the ear. Even more absurd changes that you have Pink Floyd's song Mother. Mother starts in 8/8. It goes from 8/8 to 6/8. No. It goes from 8/8 to 7/8 to 8/8 to 6/8.
Okay.
And then in the transition into the chorus, it has 4. It goes straight into 4/4, and then the rest of the chorus is in 6/8. And you don't even notice these little minute changes going on because the way they compose their music, it just flows from one idea to the next. It feels like one cohesive piece.
Right.
Well, Death's, particularly those early songs, they just didn't do that. Now, to get that's my main complaint.
Okay.
Aside.
That's fair. Right. That's fair.
So, getting into what I liked about it, the playing is phenomenal. They are incredibly tight, and you don't hear one little note that's really off. So once they got past the experimental side where they don't shine is where with structure of music. So when they get into more traditional structure, that talent, that genuine talent, all of a sudden just bam, it shines and it's glowing. It's like, whoa, these guys can really play their stuff.
Oh,
and if it weren't for the singing, I would absolutely
the singing.
Love it. Yeah, when you're going.
Can we get the instrumental version, please?
They exist.
When you sound like an engine that's not being revved correctly. So that leads me to my favorite song on the album. Would you be able to give a guess?
Story to Tell.
Really?
Not Story to Tell.
No, not Story to Tell.
I would have guessed that. That's track 4. That's where they go into kind of the straight ahead rock sound.
That's what I thought at first. But then I realized Voice of the Soul was on there.
The instrumental.
Exactly, the instrumental. Guess why? There's no singing.
No singing, that's true.
There's no singing.
No percussion there either. Did you listen to the version that has their cover of Judas Priest's Painkiller as the last track?
Yes.
Okay. I actually love the cover of Painkiller mostly because their Chuck Schuldiner he's almost singing clean at that point. Because the funny thing was, a lot of that material was supposed to, and there's debate about how much of the material was supposed to become his Control Denied album, and that album had a clean singer. It was Tim Amer from Pharaoh, and there was a lot of material that was going to be used, but the record company, after Symbolic, they wanted to do another Death album, and so he said, fine, I'll do Sound of Perseverance. And so there are a couple of demos that have clean vocals, and Story to Tell was written with clean vocals. And I think it's better with the clean vocals, honestly. The straight ahead rock stuff on Sound of Perseverance is the best death metal that has ever been written. I love the whole album, but songs like Story to Tell, Flesh and the Power It Holds, and then, of course, the instrumental Voice of the Soul, Spirit Crusher, I think that they're just incredible songs.
The talent and their ability to weave a melody, and not just a melody, but harmony is incredible. Like it's not an easy thing to do. So when they're focused on making songs that are structurally familiar, they shine.
Oh yeah.
But when they're going way out of their league on structure, they lose their musicality.
And I can see that. I think that a lot of it's that Chuck Schuldiner, who was such a perfectionist and would get whoever the best musicians were that he could get to play on his albums. I mean, no 2 consecutive Death albums had the same lineup. He was always changing out musicians, trying to get the best people he could. And he would get kind of this idea of, I think, almost like it was a stream of consciousness poetry, but in the music itself. He would occasionally do straight ahead stuff like The Philosopher on Individual Thought Patterns, and then Crystal Mountain off of Symbolic, where they're probably more well-known songs because they're more straightforwardly structured. But he would do in the music what he would do with a stream of consciousness poetry kind of thing, is how I feel. And I love it. I mean, I love the musicality. I love how insanely good he is. And if you listen to a Death live album, it just sounds like the studio album with crowds and feedback. Like that's it. That's the only difference because they're so good. And Chuck, all the soloing that you would hear underneath of the singing, he was doing that live. He could solo and sing at the same time. He is the most insane musician guitar player I have ever seen that can multitask. It was crazy. So I think I love it just because of how much respect I have for that musicality.
No, I no doubt I have respect for his abilities.
You just don't want to listen to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that sums up like a lot of our experiences. Like we all have really a lot of respect for the things we had to endure.
I want.
We
want to like them, but we
so
can't.
Hey, no, there's certain songs. If it came on in my car in my rotation, because I haven't removed it from my Apple Music yet.
Okay.
I would not change it.
All right, it's fair.
Okay,
that's fair.
Along that line, though, was your mind changed?
I will say that the first season of American Horror Story is something I will never watch, and there's certain kinds of horror I absolutely hate.
I'm aware.
Things that have to do with like, oh yeah, there's a couple of kids that were murdered. I'm like,
it's precisely the brand of horror that you hate, though.
It's precisely But then season 3 is precisely the brand of horror that I love, because it's interesting characters that I actually want to see what happens next, and when you have really great actors in the roles I find supernatural horror very, very interesting and very fun. So it's all about these witches and all these powers. It's like a superpower kind of thing.
Okay with it when it's not people.
Yeah, actually. But and like I love The Exorcist because again you have somebody to root for. You have the priest who is a guy that you want to like, and then he prevails in the end. Spoiler for a movie from 1973. Yeah, and The Conjuring, like you have a good ending to the story. You have the Ed and Lorraine Warren who end up winning essentially. So you have these things that you can look forward to with the movie, and with the TV series, I just like I don't like any of you. I don't want to see what happens to you. I don't care. Just get off of my TV.
It was his reaction when I tried to make him watch Psychopaths.
Don't you bring up that?
Yeah.
What's funny is
same reaction.
The main character in Psychopaths.
We're not discussing Psychopaths. We're not discussing Psychopaths.
Okay.
We're not discussing Psychopaths.
We will on an episode.
We will eventually, but we're also like
I will make it so.
We are also super overtime. But yeah, yes. I think with I appreciated how American Horror Story was made, and I realized that there are seasons of American Horror Story that I'm going to like a lot. And season 3 is very compelling, and one I actually just want to finish because I want to see what happens. So, I mean, I think it's a worthy experiment because we got to get ourselves out of our comfort zone. So, what about you? Is anything that was changed?
I want to love Bioshock more than I did last time. I probably will try and keep playing it. If nothing else, I will watch the game because I have to know what happens. I can't stand it, and it's so pretty.
It is. It is so gorgeous.
Don't want to get attacked.
Yeah, that's fair.
Don't attack me, bro.
Guns are not effective. I like swinging swords at people, at things in games.
Like,
I like bladed weapons, guns. I have to aim, and it's right there.
Like slap chopping in real life.
Yeah. All right, so Jeremy, anything? Oh, so was your mind changed at all on this?
Well,
it sounds like it.
We discussed like if certain songs I won't skip.
Okay, but it's not like you're going to go seek out more death.
He's not going to go buy more.
I'm not going to seek out more death, but if it comes up in my playlist, I won't change it.
I will fight my way through.
I might have to bring you. I might have to give you the CD of Symbolic. That actually is probably more straightforward than Sound of Perseverance, and it's usually back and forth between which one of those albums is more highly regarded. So I don't know if we changed any of your minds, but if you actually have something that you think maybe I should give this a shot. It's something that's in a genre I don't like. Go ahead and do that. Stretch yourselves. Suggest some things for us for our discomfort zones. Maybe you're getting to know us well enough now where you can suggest something that we might hate. We do have stuff picked out for next week, by the way. Which, by the way, we do now have to mention what our next episode is going to be and what our next discomfort zone challenges are going to be. Allow me to turn over here to my notes. So I have been challenged to listen to the album Lifted by the band Bright Eyes. And Jeremy played me about 8 seconds of it, and I wanted to kill him for doing so. I thought, I don't know what this is. And he said, it's like an emo band. I'm like, oh, whatever, that's fine. He played me 8 seconds of like, no, that's not music. That is not acceptable. and I have to listen to an hour of that.
And I actually agree with him, so
it's gonna hurt.
Bad.
It's gonna hurt so much. But
it's just an acoustic guitar.
And the worst vocal. You talk about death being horrible vocals? No. I'd rather listen to Tuck Schuldiner read the phone book than whatever was going on in those 8 seconds you played me.
At least you could sleep to one of those things.
Fair enough. So I'm not looking forward to this at all. And Sydnee, I challenged because she's generally not a fan of black and white movies or silent movies. I gave her the quintessential silent movie of all. And this is a movie I could literally watch like 8 times in a row. I love this. It is Metropolis, the complete Metropolis. So this is Fritz Lang's silent epic. Hold on to it. It can't remain in my hands. You have to take it with you.
I'm taking it with me.
So Metropolis is it's basically the granddaddy of all sci-fi movies. It's what inspired George Lucas with Star Wars, inspired everybody. And it was in kind of pieces for a long time. There was the American edit, which everybody thought for a long time that was the only one we were going to ever have. And it was a mediocre edit. Some editor just cut out random stuff and destroyed plot points, removed whole characters. So in 2002, Kino released their as good as you're ever going to get version of it, which was all the found footage they could possibly find, scoured from the world, and all these collections. We're going to put it all into this movie, and it was a bunch of found footage, and they put in intertitles to describe to you what was missing. It was incredible. In 2008, somebody found a complete print of the movie in Argentina. It's funny, like the ushers were saying, like, yeah, the people go inside and watch this movie for like 2.5 hours, and people were saying, like, but Metropolis is only like an hour 45. What are you talking about? So there was all this restored footage, and they went through this painstaking process of restoring all the footage they could. There's still a couple of scenes that were too badly damaged to put it back in the movie, but they restored 25 minutes of it. So it is as complete, unless there's another one that we'll find that will have the 2 missing scenes, is as complete as it's going to get. And it's long, and if you're not ready for it, it can be a bit of a slog. But
it's long and silent and black and white. It's
yes,
all the things. I'm ADHD. I don't even know.
I'm ADHD. Look, I'm ADHD too. I love this movie. I don't know what it is about it, but it absolutely holds my attention. I think there's something about silent film that was so lost when we went to sound film, where all that emoting and pantomime was completely lost.
And I feel for you, because I feel like I feel the same way about silent movie, or I feel the same way about opera that you do about silent films.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like opera is an art form. It's one I'm a fan of that I'm sure we're not going to talk about a lot here, but maybe.
We will at some point.
But the thing about it is, it's one of those art forms that, despite the language, I feel like you should understand what's going on. Even if you don't know the language, you should be able to watch it in any format and get the drift of the story.
Oh yeah, like
and
Carmen.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I watched Carmen. I'm like, oh yeah, well he's in love with her and she doesn't like him. She's flighty and doesn't want. So yeah, I mean, it's the story, is what it is, and it's an amazing story. And you don't need to even have the subtitles or whatever.
Simplistic, but very innate and very relatable.
Yeah.
Just across time, classically, to all people.
Yeah.
And that's the ability to tell it without words if you don't understand the words. And so I understand where you're going.
Yeah. Well, look, I will say this about Metropolis. They did completely restore the original score that was written for it. So the music is incredible. I don't know what it is about this, but I also like silent film too. I love Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Lon Chaney. I love these movies. So maybe this will convert you. I don't know. So give it a shot. You have to, because it's what you're being challenged to.
Yeah, rules.
And then Jeremy,
them rules are rules.
Them rules are rules. So Jeremy, you're being challenged. This is my challenge that I came up with for you, was you have to tell us what do people like and why are there redeeming qualities to the movie It Follows.
Do you know why that's a great choice for me? Is this is a movie I've already watched before, so I got to watch it again. And I went to this movie. It was one of them. It's like, oh my gosh, an amazing horror movie. This was like right before we started getting a deluge of great horror movies. And that's my favorite genre. So I was like, finally, it's been so long.
And people was hyped it up, and they're saying it's incredible.
Yeah. And I went to the theaters and found a friend I never go to the movies with to go see it with because they were the only other ones interested in going to see it. And I watched it, and I'm like, that's what everybody was getting hyped about.
Yeah.
And everyone around me was enjoying this movie. And I was like, but it didn't follow. I'll save it.
Okay, yeah. Save it because the reason I'm having you watch this again is because I know you have good thoughts on this, and you know, if we have to suffer, you have to suffer too.
Yeah.
Especially after you challenged me to that awful music. But also, there are a lot of good points with it, and I think you do need to see it again to kind of get your thoughts cohesive on it. Because I saw the movie too, and I had a lot of the same thoughts you did. I loved the music in it, but I know you're right.
We don't give any points away yet.
Yeah, we'll save this for next time. So come back next week, and until next time, just hey, stay casual fanatics.